Hello, hello, hello. Welcome in. It's a little bit chilly. Very unusual. Very unusual. Very unusual. It's like, what? I should have made myself a hot cup of tea or something. Herbal tea or shaga tea, perhaps. I just want to say, we love people. I love people. We love people. It's we love when beings are receiving strong impulses from Gaia, from the divine, from higher sources, and they just go for it. We really admire people like this, that just goes. Kenneth also is like this, so there's a lot of recognition in that. And we are operating our body very differently from what most people might think when they're seeing these videos, because we operate very closely to our body, and so when we channel, it's not always we don't always control what's being spoken, but we know that we are speaking higher intelligence because of the feeling that it produces to the body. That's our gauge that we are in integrity. Because what Kenneth the human has learned through this is to calibrate to that system. And that is, all of these 28 days, they are basically channelings and calibrations to get all of the different perspectives corrected, because that's what Kenneth needed. So we are using Kenneth and his experience, correcting him. So he has to be very vulnerable in these recordings. It is not something that isn't normally done. People usually hide those things. And that's the whole point. The whole point is to not hide them. However, there might be that we have still some work to do to open up more. We are not saying that we are perfect, that the expression through Kenneth is perfect, it can't be better. That's something we are continuously adjusting. That's the whole game. That is the whole game. And we are playing a totally different game than most people. We are aware of that. And that game happens outside of the dualistic perspective. We can see the dualistic perspective very clearly. But when you are in the dualistic perspective, you just bounce off your own mirror, so to speak, when you are with another being that sees those things. Because those things it doesn't penetrate through certain energy fields, and then they just bounce off. And they bounce back, and then the beings are just thinking that the being is sending that to them. No, that's not always what is happening. It is the things that you are projecting unconsciously that's bouncing back. The judgments. So yes, it is about judgment. Because if you're judging another, you are saying that you know what their life circumstance has been to get to this point, because I didn't see a correct behavior here. Judgment. That is judgment. We need to know what judgment is. That is not proper assessment of someone. That is looking for something to go, haha, gotcha. Even if it's wrong, just that you believe that it's right. You see? We have a completely different we have been through training for this. And the training was in the form of, it looked on paper, let's say, like a narcissistic relationship. Pretending to be a spiritual relationship. But what was going on outside of that we were tuning into, that's a different frequency. There's a different span. That's what we experience as a soul, was that being had access to be able to express through their body frequencies that we never dared to express. And so by us being in that person's presence, our body learned a lot about how to use the body in a different way. There were so many nuggets that we could pick up from the non-physical when certain things happen. And it got us to see, finally, it got us to look at ourselves truly. We know our faults. We know our weaknesses. We are working on them. We are sharing them in this program to share with you how you can take your own insecurities and turn them into your greatest strength. Because that is what I have done personally. I have taken all of that frustration and anger and resentment and why this and that. I processed it all through my body. I felt the depth of it. And I felt hell, the depth of everything, until I realized that, this situation is waiting for me to change something here. I can't just wait for the universe to just magically do something for me. I have to inject. And that is an aware knower getting online. Right? There is a different level that we can play here as human beings. And that's what we are inviting you by joining these 28-day consciousness shift in this ascension program. This is Jeshua's ascension program. This is directly related to A Course in Miracles. That is what we have aligned our system to every single day. And this is a continuation of that and those teachings. We ask that you don't judge the way that it's being presented and who is presenting it and what they're saying and not, but hear and try and piece it together. What is it that I'm not seeing? Show me Gaia so that I can fully get connected with you. That's what we're guiding you to connect to your own stream by us beaming our stream. Not for you to judge us, but to accept our light as what we intend it to be. Even if it comes across a little bit like this or like that or whatever judgment, we have our own story that we are working through inside of our own body. We know our story. We know what we are doing inside of our body to progress this internal dance in consciousness so that we can expand into more of who we are. A bigger energy, bigger comprehension. Humans are not used to truth like this, and so many reject it. Finding stories randomly and then being presented certain stories, there are many energies that wants to stop you from making this transition. Also, there are many things on this path. But one thing is for certain, it is going to be a joyful path. If it is not joyful, then you're doing something with your psychology that can be corrected so that it becomes joyful. That's the purpose of the Gaia remedies. They are corrections of energy so that we think in alignment of the holistic perspective. Kenneth, the human being Kenneth, he's still in training. He's not perfect at this. He's sharing his fuck-ups in the 28-day shifts. He probably shares a little bit too much for what he feels he's comfortable with sometimes, and that's when we know to open up a bit more. Oh, this feels very joyful. What is so important is not to take it too seriously, all these judgments either. But what judgment does for the being that judges is that it limits and it hinders perception. It doesn't open up for it. Instead of looking at it and figuring it out, I saw a pattern. Boom, I'm going to go with that. The ego's pattern. Yes, it must be like that. Protection from the past. Right? It's very easy to go with the egos. You know, the ego's got you. Why? Because it is trying to protect you based on the past. And if it sees some pattern that's similar to the past, It's the same. The body, not the body, the ego says, it's the same because of this and because of that. And those are just snippets. You're not listening to your body necessarily. You're just remembering the past. Why? Because it's not fully digested yet from your system. So having that come up is a good thing. Feeling those feelings is feeling them through. You're not supposed to hide away from them or pretend that some other story is true. Connect to your body to decipher truth. And that's where most beings are a little off, to connect with the body, including Kenneth. He's struggling with this, especially now, with all of this we have to do, and a little bit of time pressure, and we got some stuff we have to do, it's all of that, and that adds on more, right? So it's important to have correct perspective, because unless we have, and we're saying we're talking about ourselves, by the way. This is part of our own pep talk too, right? Very often it is also to do with us. Let's see where we go from here. We just lost the trail a little bit there. Yeah. The importance of the body, because it's only in the getting reacquainted with the body in a deeper way that you truly get what we're talking about. Because we're speaking from a different perspective. We're speaking from the soul's perspective. And we get that beings can get a little bit confused with us, because the first time we speak to someone, we seem completely normal, or from the dualistic perspective normal. But we have an expanded awareness that is way beyond people's comprehension. And that's just... We're seeing that now because we have learned to see the evidence around us, not because we are coming up with it. We have a system of measurement that is tangible for us, because we don't just come with ideas and then that's the ego's realm. And we have been through the ego many times to kick out those things, because those are hindrances to your spiritual growth. Trying to judge people to okay, then I don't have to worry about that anymore, because then that's not an issue, because we have judged it, meaning you have put some label on it that is like that, and I'm not going to do that anymore, type of thing. Made up their mind, but it was a judgment, so you didn't see it correctly. And then what? You just limited your option to find out. That's self-harm, actually. And The ego is supposed to be a protective mechanism, but we have been trained incorrectly. We haven't been trained based on the truth. And when we say truth, there are many aspects to truth. There are many opinions and nuances and, but this and from this perspective, from that perspective. We get that there are many different definitions of what truth is. But when we are trying to speak of a particular, we're calling it truth because it's from a deeper frequency, a more real frequency that you can verify based on how energy moves. We can see how energy moves. We can feel how energy moves. Everything is tangible when you get deeper into these states, and you can start to work with energy in a much deeper sense. But we have to complete kindergarten. Projections are kindergarten. Projections are a being that is not completely fully in alignment with itself, actually, in truth, in energetic truth, because they're projection, and then they're confusing the mirror aspect, thinking that it's just you are saying it's me, but actually it's you type of thing, like it's this ping pong thing, this ping pong game. Just know that if you're playing this ping pong game, you are in the dualistic perspective. If you're thinking like that, that is the proof that you're in it. And it's just good for you to know what you are in truth. We are sharing truth. For you to come into harmony with who you are. Because we know what that is. Because we have been disconnected, and now we are connected. And we know the difference when you are disconnected and when you are connected. And there are so many things that you can get into about all of this. But we are not even there. We know what that is, but we're not in there listening to all it, because that's what most people do. And then they listen to this one and this one, and then they analyze and this and what about this and what about what. But if you take all of that noise away, you can start to hear higher intelligence, which is what we're trying to teach all of you, guide all of you to. And so when we receive energy, we take that energy and we correct it. We correct it energetically so that we feel connected to our body and Gaia. Knowing that when we feel connected to our body and Gaia, we are a good tuning fork for other beings to do the same. Either that, or they get kicked out by themselves, usually, by this mirror thing. It's interesting how higher frequency and lower frequencies sort of work together. They don't, usually. There is usually a projection going on, unless the being that is in the dualistic perspective get that there is something more here. If they are in a twisted mindset, that's it. It's okay. And we get it. we get the ego's twisted games, like, oh yeah, but oh, you're saying that, oh, what about you? You can be in the loop. Like, it's all this. All what we can say is that our frequency is not there. That's it. And so we are not there anymore. We used to be. We used to ping pong there before in the dualistic perspective, but we are so not interested in that anymore. We are interested in the beings that are truly ready to change. And so if that's you, if you are ready to change, there is a link in the bio. So we are inviting you there is a free 28-day consciousness shift being recorded right now. It is not being recorded every single day, but every now and then we are being guided to inject that. But there is also Channeling Jesus 28-day consciousness shift that is completely for free. If you haven't signed up already, there is a link in the bio. You can sign up for free. All right? Take care, and we'll talk to you again in the next one.